Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Tech Gamers World. In this video, we're going to be unboxing and reviewing none other than the Nintendo Switch 2. Now I am super excited to check it out as this is launch day. So stay tuned, we'll be right back. Let's do this. Okay everyone, welcome back. So here we have the much anticipated Nintendo Switch 2, finally released in June of 2025, and I managed to get one on launch day. So here it is. So let's get this unboxing and review started. As always, we'll start with the box here. So the box is pretty similar to the original Nintendo Switch box for the OLED edition. This box shows the Nintendo Switch 2 featuring the Joy-Cons, the Joy-Con holder, the Switch dock, the Switch 2, and what looks like a TV in the background. Now this is the bundle, so it comes with Mario Kart World as a full game download, which is awesome because I love Mario Kart. Checking out the side here, we've got people playing it on the tabletop with the stand holding the Joy-Cons left and right. On the other side here, we have the Nintendo Switch 2 display, which shows someone putting it into the dock. And then on the other side here, we have a picture of the Nintendo Switch 2. And then on the bottom, we have what's included and some specifications and regulatory information here. So let's go ahead now and open it up. I am so excited to open this up. So the first thing we see when we open it is instructions on how to set up your Nintendo Switch 2, how to plug it in, how to set it up, very basic instructions, how to detach and attach the Joy-Con to controllers, and where the power button is. So let's go ahead here and get this opened. So here it is, the much awaited Nintendo Switch 2. So we'll take out the Joy-Cons here. Here is the right Joy-Con and the left Joy-Con. And they are nice. They're actually heavier than I thought they would be compared to the original Joy-Cons, which I have over here just for size comparison purposes here. So you can see the Joy-Con 2 Joy-Cons, the Switch 2 Joy-Cons are definitely a little bit larger, and compared to the original generation Joy-Cons here for the Switch 1. Now I can call it the Nintendo Switch 1. So that's definitely, and they definitely feel a little bit heavier than the original Joy-Con. So let's put that off to the side here. We'll put this one here. Let's go ahead here and open up the left Joy-Con. See here. Now let's take a look at the inside here. So we've got various things that look different than the original Joy-Con because of the way things work. These Joy-Cons are going to be used differently than these were. So they'll have different things on them. The buttons are bigger. In here there's SL and SR, which are on here too, as you can see, but they're definitely a lot smaller. So they made those buttons a lot bigger, and they're used when you're holding it, like this. This one has a connector port inside, and what looks like a camera there that looks like a little mini sensor there, because that's going to be used when it's in mouse mode, basically. So I'll be curious to see how these ones connect compared to the original. We know the original slid down. These click in and they get held in here. So we'll have to see how that holds up over the foreseeable future. Other than that, I mean, it's pretty much the same Joy-Con design as the original. You've got your buttons, the analog stick. The analog stick is definitely bigger than the original Joy-Con. You've got the minus or select there, then the up, down, left, right, and then the screen capture. So other than that, the buttons are identical. So let's go ahead and put this off to the side here. The same thing goes for this one. You can see with the right Joy-Cons, they're basically the same. The start or plus, X, Y, B, A, the analog stick, the home button, and the capture button. So this one actually has the capture button over here now, which is pretty cool. So let's go ahead here and take out the Nintendo Switch 2. And before we get to that, we'll go ahead here and delve into what's in the box. So it comes with the Mario Kart World download code, which is you just scratch off, and then you input the code when you're in the Nintendo store to get the game for free. So we'll do that, put that off to the side here. Here we have your typical health and safety information, usage guidelines, and regulatory information. Warnings, notices, all of that good stuff. And it's all in various languages, which makes it nice and easy to read. If you're like me, you never actually read these, but they are good to have. It comes with a ultra certified cable, HDMI ultra high speed cable. This looks like your standard HDMI cable to connect the dock to the TV. Here we've got two of the Joy-Con mounts that you can use with the wrist straps here. So let's go ahead and take one out. We'll take a look here. So these are wildly different looking than the original Nintendo Switch ones, which I have one here. Just have to grab one. Here's an original one. So you can see just how different these are. This is the original Nintendo Switch Joy-Con connector here, and this is the new one. So they both feature the wrist straps, look basically similar. They look almost exactly similar. This one has a nice holder on the bottom here. This is the adjuster. But these are definitely different looking. So if we take a look here, they probably just go on just like that. They click on pretty nice. As you can see, it's got the surface things here for when you're going to be going like that. So we'll go ahead here and put that off to the side as well. And the same thing for this one. As you can see here, this is the orange one. So that's for the right Joy-Con. Let's go ahead and move all this out of the way here. Get rid of the old one. All right. Let's lift this out. So let's start with what's in here now. The accessories that come with the Nintendo Switch 2. So here is the charger for the Nintendo Switch 2. And man, this is bulky. Wow. It's got a USB-C output on it, which is what I expected. Let me grab the original one here, which I have one right over here. Oh, actually, I guess it's not as bulky as I thought. Here is an OEM original Nintendo Switch charger and the new one. So I was wrong. It's definitely a lot smaller than the new one. Just at first sight, it looked bulky. I think because of the way it's just shows that way. It's just, I don't know, I thought it was a lot bulkier. So this one does not have the embedded cable here that you can't remove. This is USB-C output, which is super nice. I like that a lot, actually. So let's go ahead and put that off to the side here. And next up we have is the USB-C cable. This is USB-C to USB-C. And if you're not familiar with what USB-C is, which I know not everybody is, it is basically a standard for USB cables. So this one is smaller compared to the USB-A, which I can show you what a USB-A cable looks like. This is a USB-A cable and a USB-C cable. You cannot charge Nintendo Switches with a USB-A. It must be a USB-C connector. So if you ever don't know what you need to buy, if you want an extra one, you always want to get a USB-C cable. Now you can get a USB-A to USB-C cable and charge it through a older iPhone or Android charging adapter, they will work. They will just take longer to charge the switch. But you definitely need a USB-C cable. Always remember that. Very important. In here, we have the Joy-Con holder, it looks like, for the Nintendo Switch 2. So I've got a Nintendo Switch 1 Joy-Con holder here, which we can compare to. Grab that. So on the left here is the Nintendo Switch 2 connector, Joy-Con holder. Here is the Nintendo Switch 1 gently used Joy-Con holder. And by gently used, I mean a lot. So you can see the size difference is not too much. And again, these have the connectors on the side here. So you just go ahead and stick that in like that. Then you can go ahead here and stick this one in just like that. And you've got it in the mount, which is pretty cool. And then to remove it, you basically obviously don't ever want to pull on it. There's a button on the back here. Click the button, they'll pop right off just like that. Super easy. And let's check out the dock. So this is the dock for the Nintendo Switch 2. Go ahead and move the box out of the way here. So let's go ahead and move that too. So this is the dock. Now the dock is a lot different looking than the original dock, which I have one right here. As you can see, I have one of pretty much everything. So we'll put that back there for a minute. This is the Nintendo Switch 2 dock. So flipping it over and looking at the back here, this pops off, which is a nice, I actually like the way this comes off compared to the previous generation ones. And we have some ports here. So you have the AC adapter, which is this, and then the USB cable from the AC adapter to the dock, and that will power the dock. You've got a HDMI port here. This connects to your TV. And then here you've got this little thing. I know it's a little hard to see, but it's down there. It is a network interface port. If you decide you want to wire your Nintendo Switch to the internet in your house, you can connect a network cable from your modem router to it and not use wireless. But that will only work when the Nintendo Switch 2 is docked. You would need to use Wi-Fi when the Nintendo Switch 2 is in handheld mode. So I like the way this dock looks. More curved than the rectangular design. And you can see the size comparison here to show you there. So it's a bit larger and wider, but that's okay. It's pretty nice looking. I love the curves on it compared to the original here. So let's go ahead and put this back. And we'll go ahead and put this up here, put this here, put those there. And we'll go ahead here and take a look at the Nintendo Switch 2. The main reason we are all here. So we'll put this down, put that over there. All right, so here is the Nintendo Switch 2. Finally, pulling it out here. I love how big the screen is on this compared to the original Nintendo Switch. Take a look at the difference there. Just to show you the difference, here is the Nintendo Switch 2. Here's the Nintendo Switch, and there's me. Hello world. So you can see there's a humongous difference there in a screen. This looks and feels more like a smaller tablet. Flipping the look here. Let's go ahead and look at the bottom first. There is the USB-C port here. So this is used for charging and placing it in the dock, and standard to the Nintendo Switch design. You just sit the Switch in the dock, and then the dock will transmit the video output to the TV and will also charge it for you. So there are speakers on the bottom here. Actually, ventilation. They don't look like speakers. They look like ventilation ports there. And there is a stand. So the stand, honestly, not sure how I feel about that stand. I kind of like the design on the Nintendo Switch, the original, where the stand comes out like this. It's bigger and it was more rugged the original generation Nintendo Switches, which I happen to have right here, had this little dinky stand. So at least they don't have that. So I'll have to see how well this stand holds up over the coming years here. So taking a look at the top, there are some notable differences here. You have obviously the power button, the volume down, volume up buttons. I know it's hard to see because it's dark. There is ventilation up here, and probably where the sound and stuff is also transmitted through. Now, this thing that is very different about this Switch is they have a USB-C port on the top, which is awesome. The original Switches did not have that. And they continue to have the mini RCA headphone jack there. And then here is where you can put in your cards, game cards. So game cards can go in there. As you can see, it says game card here. So if you use game cards, that's where they go in. I personally prefer everything to be digital and downloaded, just because I find that works better for me. And the last but not least, on the bottom here is the micro SD Express port. Now, to get additional storage on the Nintendo Switch, you would use one of these ports. You would add a micro SD card to them, which are readily available on the internet, and they will expand the overall storage in your Nintendo Switch, which is awesome. Now, the Nintendo Switch 2 comes with 256 gigs of storage, which is a lot compared to the original, which maxed out at pretty much 64. So that's awesome. And I definitely love the 7.9-inch screen here compared to the original. I do have to ding it because it's not OLED, but that's okay. I'm sure that in the future they will switch to an OLED model, probably like the Nintendo Switch 2 Pro or something like that. The processor is NVIDIA, which is awesome, which is the same before. It's a custom processor, which I think is really special in how Nintendo does their processors, and it does save money, if you believe it or not. The Wi-Fi in this is Wi-Fi 6, which is nice compared to the original Wi-Fi 5. So if you have a Wi-Fi 6, 6E capable router, you will get faster wireless connections, which will result in faster downloads and better overall wireless stability. The resolution to the TV is something that I think is basically the same compared to the original when it's docked, but it's upscaled and stuff like that. So it's 3840 by 2160, which is essentially 4K resolution at 60 frames per second in TV mode. And then it does support 120 frames per second when lower resolutions are set. So not really sure I'll ever use that, but we'll have to try that out. It supports HDR10, which is a standard, and then the maximum screen resolution of 1920 by 1080 when it's in tabletop mode and handheld mode follows that standard for Nintendo. So the screens themselves are not 4K, basically is what that means. Speakers are stereo, which is your basically left and right channels. The microphone, it has a built-in microphone, which is nice. It's a monaural microphone, so probably not going to be the greatest, but they do feature some noise cancellation, echo cancellation, and auto gains, which are nice because it will drown out some of the background noise. And you can use the old Nintendo Switch game cards in the Nintendo Switch 2, which is awesome. And the battery life. So we're going to have to see how battery life is, obviously. Now, these are all rough estimates, 2 hours through 6.5 hours, depending on the game you play. And we all know from the old Switches, if you played a game like Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom, it could eat the battery alive. And charging time is about 3 hours. So we'll have to see how well this all plays out. And I'm definitely super excited to check this out. So stay tuned for the next video where I'll show you how to set up your Nintendo Switch 2 and transfer everything from your old Switch to the new one. So if you could click that like button and subscribe to Tech Gamers World, that would be totally awesome. And I will see everybody around. Keep on gaming.